Hello, dear fellow GYA members, dear guests. My name is Lisa, and I'm one of the co-leads of the Trust in Young Scientists working group. The corona crisis has made very obvious how important the communication between scientists and society is. And in the countries in which this communication has worked well, this has probably saved millions of lives. But when we think about this communication, what are we actually talking about? What is this relation between science and society? In this brief talk, I want to introduce you to a few concepts from philosophy that I think are very useful for thinking about this relation and also for what it means for us as scholars and scientists to communicate with a broader public. The first of these distinctions is between information and informants. Information is, for example, text that you find on the internet or data, something that stands there and you can read it or listen to it. But you cannot interact with it. An informant is the person behind the information who can share the information with you, but also do so much more. Because when human beings interact, they can share their attention to certain issues, they can empathize with one another and understand what matters to the other side. And that can be very important for really understanding which information the other side needs. There's so much information out there. Being an informant is very important for selecting the information that someone needs. In neuroscience and philosophy, there is this term shared intentionality, which means that two human beings or more human beings can direct their attention to certain topics, and they know that the other side is also doing that. I know that you know that I know, and so on. And that's something that human beings can do spontaneously and very easily, but neither computers nor texts nor AI can, for what we know, do this. And that's why being an informant can be so much more than just putting information out there. And it's also why personal communication continues to matter a lot when it comes to science communication. Writing text certainly has a place, but we also need the kind of personal interaction with policymakers, but also with citizens out there, just whoever needs the information. And scientists need to be able to communicate with these people. That relates to a second distinction, which is between reliability and trust. Reliability means that information is truthful, that it has been checked, maybe it gets updated when there is new evidence, and you can rely on it in the sense that when you plan your own behavior, your own actions, you can take that information into account and you don't have to worry that you might be deceived or so. But trust is something more, and trust is again something that is specific to human interaction, because trust means that you can stop checking and really rely, but in a stronger sense, on the other person. So trust is a moralized concept, and it means that the other person from whom you get the information is taking a responsibility to make sure that you know what you need to know, that you're not being deceived, that you're not misled. And if that trust gets violated, the other person is blameworthy. Whereas if some information is not reliable, that doesn't mean that you can blame anyone, because maybe it was never intended to be reliable and you just mistook it. That's different from trust that gets broken. Now, our working group is called Trust in Young Scientists, and that means that it includes the stronger notion, which has these associations with responsibility and also with integrity. And we think that it's really important that when scientists communicate with the outside, they are aware of this responsibility. Because whether you like it or not, lay people will often depend on what you say, and they will trust you. And so you need to live up to this and be trustworthy. And that's why in the big project that we are running at the moment, called SciSo, Science with Society, that's the logo that we had designed for the project, we integrate various topics. And two central topics here are science communication, which everyone talks about. But the other side is scientific integrity and the role of scientists in society. So we try to bring together the practical tools that you need for communicating, for writing an op-ed, for reaching out to others online and so on. There are some really practical hands-on that you can learn. But then there's also this other side, which is about the reflection of what it means to play this role in public discourse and to live up to the expectations that come with it. And that's why there are also a couple of videos that we will produce that offer reflections on integrity, on scientific collaboration, the role of scientists, how to avoid coming across as one of these arrogant wannabe dictators who want science to be everything, how you can really communicate with a broader audience such that there is a real connection. So what we are working on at the moment, and hopefully will roll out next year, is a series of video tutorials in which we discuss these topics and present them to young scientists and whoever else is interested in a way that is really accessible. So there's a sort of meta level. We're trying to practice what we preach and create the kind of communication that is meaningful and that really creates a dialogue. But of course, when we do video tutorials, that's more in the camp of information because it's still not a real dialogue. So we also hope to be able to really engage in meeting others, discussing these things, maybe develop seminar programs, workshop programs, such that this can become integrated in the way in which scientists get educated and so that they can practice these things when they have things to say to the general public. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to the discussion.